Hi, Nick here from Taunton Leisure. Today we're going to be talking about the new Scarpa Gecko approach shoe. Okay, so let's talk about the construction of this shoe first. So we're going to talk about the upper, which is a 1.8mm suede. Really nice and soft. I mean, the whole shoe really is designed around comfort and performance. And the suede certainly is comfortable. You can see it's really nice and supple, so that's going to grip your foot really well and be really comfortable. They put a rubber rand around the toe end. That rand covers pretty much everywhere where you think you might get it scuffed up if you're scrambling over rocks, so that's really good. The lacing area on this shoe's really good, similar to the Crux in that the lacing comes right down to the toe end there, so close-ish to a rock shoe, to be honest. So yeah, if you need to get that shoe tightened up right over the top of your foot so you can scramble more efficiently, that's going to be really good. Moving through the shoe, you've got the new tongue which they use in this shoe. This is, I think, the first approach shoe they've used it in. Although they do use it in their Rebel range of shoes as well. But it's a super breathable, super comfy, honeycomb mesh tongue, and it feels really soft over the top of your foot. It's not junky, it's quite low profile, but yeah, really comfy. So moving to the back of the shoe, we've got a really nice heel cup. Now that heel cup is definitely quite narrow and low profile, so it's lower volume than something like the Crux would be, or is. So it's a really nice tight fitting heel. It's got this TPU cradle which is on the inside and the outside of the shoe, and that really holds your heel in there firm. The actual heel itself comes up quite high around your Achilles. It's quite a bit higher than the other approach shoes that I've got. So I really like that. When you've got it laced up, it locks your heel in, and it's really stable. So onto the sole unit. The midsole is a dual density EVA. It's really quite soft actually. It's a little bit softer than maybe I would have expected from a pure scrambling shoe. So I think, yeah, in my opinion, this is probably closer to a technical approach shoe really than a pure scrambling shoe. But it's really good, it's really comfortable, really nice. So the dual density part, they've put a softer area in the heel cup, in the bottom of it there, and that just cushions your heel really nicely. I've worn them for maybe 10-15 miles so far, this pair. Haven't done too much scrambling in them, but I've done plenty of walking up on the moor, and they felt great so far. Really well cushioned. I've used them just walking around town as well a couple of times. Not that I would want to use them for that, but they feel okay on tarmac as well. So yeah, I think they're going to cross over into a general approach shoe really well. So the big talking point about this shoe is the new sole unit that Scarpa are using. So they've designed and have manufactured this new Praiser sole unit, and they're using a new compound rubber which they call Super Gum, and I think it's actually really good. From what I can tell so far, I've been pretty impressed with it. It's extremely grippy. When you run your finger across the rubber itself, you know, you do that thing where you're looking for the friction, how it feels on a climbing shoe, for instance. Well, these feel as grippy as a climbing shoe. So, you know, the friction is there, the rubber is really tacky and sticky, which is great. I have used them for a little tiny bit of scrambling up on Dartmoor, just messing around on the boulders while I was out actually climbing the other night. Felt great. So, but I'm going to be adding to this vlog, whatever you want to call it, with some footage of me actually doing some routes, hopefully down in Cornwall in in the next few weeks. So we're going to see how they climb and scramble a bit more. That will be written on our blog website as well. So there's some way you're going to find out how well they actually climb. So back to the sole unit itself. Basically, it's a take on a dot sole unit like you would get on most of the other technical approach shoes out there. It's low profile. The dots in this case aren't actually dots, they're like squashed hexagons. I feel like that's going to work a whole lot better than the standard round dot sole units that you get on the 510 shoes, for instance. They're definitely going to grip better in grassy, wetter, muddier conditions than those. And certainly so far, having used them on the moor for a few miles, they've felt great. I've had no slip so far, so that's great. And the sole unit is actually profiled. Scarpa have built this shoe to be very light, so what they've done is they've actually made the profile of the lugs on the sole deeper at the front and the back where you want the traction. So you've got a heel brake area there, so when you're descending, that heel's actually going to grip quite well. The lugs are a bit deeper there, and then when you're driving with your shoe, if you're going uphill, the lugs are deeper there, and then in the middle, they're actually pretty shallow. And as we all know, whenever you ever worn the middle of a sole unit out, it just doesn't happen, does it? So, we're not going to worry about that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to using this shoe a lot more. So just from a weight point of view, they've built the shoe to be 320 grams in a UK size 8, and that is 20% lighter than the old Crux, which is 400 grams in a size 8. So pretty light, and it's actually a bit stiffer and a bit more supportive than the Crux, so they've done a good job. Okay, so let's talk about the fit of the Gecko. As you can see, I've wheeled out a few of my old approach shoes, all looking in a bit of a sorry state, so it's actually pretty handy that I've got a new pair of these to review, because these ones are pretty wrecked. But yeah, so the Gecko, to cut a long story short, it is probably closest in fit and feel to the old 510 Guide 10. Now this is a classic. Probably everyone that's looked at approach shoes might have owned or looked at buying a pair of these. Now they're a little bit hardcore for most people. They're quite low volume, and basically they're very focused towards climbing and scrambling rather than anything else. So I think what the Gecko's done is it's actually tried to strike a balance between these two shoes actually. So it's getting the comfort of the Crux, which is a great shoe. I've had 3 pairs of these over the last 6 years, been brilliant. They're very comfy, they don't have as much rigidity as the Gecko at all. The Gecko's torsionally a lot stiffer, similar to the Guide 10. In fact, it's not quite as stiff as that. So yeah, it's taking the comfort and just getting into the performance of the Guide 10. Now, I did bring along the Evolve Cruiser. Now, you can't really class this as much of an approach shoe. It's actually a fairly sort of weird, almost like a slipper. It's I bought this for multi-pitch climbing. That was all I bought it for. It packs completely flat, so you can actually put it in a small bag and hang it off your harness quite well. So when you're climbing, it's really good. Really light. I mean, none of these come anywhere close to it. I think each shoe is about 145 grams, so less than half the weight of any of the other ones. Great shoe for taking up a 20 pitch route in the Alps. Not so nice coming back down the other side, but brilliant while you're climbing. So really, there's not a lot to say about that one. It hasn't got a lot of play with the fit part of it. So we'll get rid of that one anyway. Go back to the Gecko. So yeah, essentially, for me, the Gecko's got the best of both bits of these shoes. Really, really nice. It's got a really close fit over the top of your foot here. You can see it's got similar lacing going all the way down to the toe, and when you get that cranked right in, brilliant fit, really, really snug. The heel's better on this than the Crux by a long way. The Crux, it's got virtually no support in the heel area at all. It's very soft. And the Guide 10 is extremely stiff, so it's right in the middle of that, but it's actually got really good heel hold. So yeah, fairly low volume in and around the arch area. Decent width, so it's slightly wider than the Guide 10 and very similar to the Crux, to be honest. But the really good bit is the toe box. Now, in both these shoes, the volume in the toe area is quite low, but in the Gecko, there's a little bit more room over your toes. So actually, if you were going out for a 20-mile walk on rocky ground, I know which shoe I'd be picking. I'd definitely be picking these, because they've definitely got a bit more toe wiggle room in the toe box, which is great. So yeah, fit wise, fairly low volume here, decent width there, plenty of room in the toe box and a great heel hold. Really happy with that. So the only other thing to say is sizing. They size up the same as the Crux, so I wear a 44 in both of these shoes. I actually measure a UK 10, and officially an EU 44 is a 9.5. But basically, if you went to a 45, it would be too big. They're too big, and a 45 for me as well. And width fitting there, if you've had your foot measured with a Brannock device in the last few years, if you were measuring a G, which is extremely wide, they are definitely going to be too narrow for you. I measure between a D and an E, and they fit me just perfectly. So lots of, perfect fit there, really. So up to and including mid-E width, great. If you were measuring really narrow, a C, you might find you'd have to put a volume reducer in there, maybe a superfoot insert, something like that to get it to fit if you like the rest of the fit of the shoe. So, thanks for checking out this review today. I've really enjoyed doing it, and I hope you've got something out of it as well. So if you've got any questions about the Gecko, then you can always get in touch with one of our staff members in the stores. They'll be able to talk to you about it. And if you'd like to purchase a pair, they're ready to go on our website now. Thanks for watching.